Hello, it's Dominique. This is part 4 of our tutorial creating your own album. So first of all, I have a few things I want to tell you. First, if you're just starting to watch this video, of course you can go back to number 1 to see what we've been doing, because this is a process. Also, I wanted to tell you, I was telling you on the last video how to get your pieces of chipboard, not this one, the space that you have to leave between your pieces of chipboard, and I think I was not very precise on how I did that. Also, I made a mistake. I said 32nd out of an inch and I meant 1/16. I'm not where's my okay. I'm not used to use inches, because in Canada we work with millimeters and centimeters, so I made a mistake. So the thing is that I want to show you that when you have two pieces here, I don't know if you can see, and you want to determine how much space you should leave there, I suggest that you have at least, I would put 2 pieces of the chipboard, 2 thickness of the piece of chipboard between the two. So that would be, you see here, 2 pieces. That would be what you would leave between the 2 pieces before you glue them on, either on the piece, because you could use like a 12 by 12 and just glue your pieces there and then just turn the edges around, or do this little strips that I get like I did earlier. But either way, it's just that I didn't want to have this paper wrapping around because it's thick and it could break on the edges, so that's why. But yeah, so when you have your pieces like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the spines and then the covers, yeah, if you put 2 pieces of whatever thickness of chipboard that you're using, that would be perfect. So I wish I had put a little bit more, especially that I used some of the paper collection to do all the edge here. And this is thicker than just regular cardstock that you would buy, like, I mean, just the regular sheets. So that makes it stiffer, sturdier, thicker. So it's harder than to have your ditches done like this. So that's why it's a little bit like this. But you'll see after I put this stuff in, it'll be nice and flat. Also, not finishing covering quite yet. Okay, so I'm not finishing here right now. I'll do that at the end, because what if you spill something, or after you work so much and then you get like this, it gets dirty. So if you have all finished it and you get all your, like the elements you've put, the embellishments or plate that we're going to do here, it gets dirty or scratched, so that's not good. So that's why I'm leaving this for the end, and we'll see what we do at the bottom, like the back cover. Also, so yeah, I want to just, because we've been pretty much doing a lot of technique right now so far, but we'll be doing how to create, depending on the space you have, what you want to do, what you like to do as interaction in your pages. So how to create that, that'll be more the creating part of this series, because we've been doing a lot of technical work so far, so I just wanted to know that. And also, if you have any questions, just go in the comments below and tell me whatever you want to know, if I was not clear or something, because I'm not used to making these videos, and tutorials is my first, so I might not be clear sometimes. I might be mistaken, and so bear with me, please. Okay, and also I suggest you watch all the videos, and then if you decide to do something you want to do, like, it's not that you have to do this project, it just helps you to create, so you're not kind of watching this and doing this and then coming back and waiting for where we're at and everything. So that's not what we're doing. Okay, so now we're going to be doing the 2 pieces of little hinge here and the 2 pages. I decided that I would be doing 2 pages. So here I measured my sheets. Here these are 8.5 by 11, and I figured out that if I just fold them in half, this is pretty much what I have, so I'm not gonna have to remove a lot here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to get my paper trimmer. And first I'm gonna glue it, I'm gonna fold it like this, just like this. You get the corners together. What I do is I go in the center like this, and then I go like this. This is just plain regular cardstock. This is the color that I decided to take for this project because I find it's the right kind of yellowy ivory, so I like that. So we do this here, and then I'm gonna do another one just like this. So according to the size of your covers, you'll see what size of pages that you can make. So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna have the top being a pocket. This is gonna be the pocket where I'm gonna put like a large photo mat insert. This is gonna be the spine that's gonna be glued onto here, and this has to be closed. So before I decide how much I removed or how much I fold, I'm going to have to make my hinge system so that I know how wide it is. So first of all, I'm going to write down here what's the length of my page or the height of my page, because I pretty much have to be the same for my hinges. I'm going to cut this much here, and I need to have here, so these are going to be glued here, but not exactly here. We're going to glue them at the very end, but I need to know how I need to make them right now so that I know how wide they are, to know how wide my pages will be in here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have one part that's going to be like, let me get this like this so you can understand better. So you have three parts that are folded. One part is going to be glued onto the spine. This one here. This one here is going to be the floating one that allows your pages to lay on one on each other like this. And this third part here, this one right here, is going to be glued onto into the page like this. So you get the idea a little bit. Let me get this in. Okay, like this. So you get the idea. So we have two portions here. One that's going to be glued onto the spine, and this one will be floating, and the third one is glued on into the page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my scoreboard because these lines have to be straight. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to use this little piece here. So we know that our page is going to be this white. So I'm going to go for I would put half an inch for the part that's going to be glued onto the page, I mean the spine. Then, because I only have 2 pages, I don't need that much of the floating part of the hinge, because just 2 pages, it's easy to just turn, and then they lay flat one on another. But if you have like 6, 7, you need a little bit more because they're going to be like this, you know. So you need to have them wider. So I'm going to be doing 3/8 of an inch, and also depending on how much interaction, like how thick your pages will be, you get to decide how much you need there. And then I leave I would say half an inch, no, 1/4 of an inch for the part that is going to be glued onto here. So I'm going to cut this one here. So I have 1, 2, 3 portions, and I just fold on the third, cut on the third. Make sure it's nice, and let's do it this way. Nice and square. So I'm going to show you. 1, 2. So that's all it is. Easy enough. I call this the stack and fold, because it's going to be, this part here is going to be glued onto the album, and then another one will be glued part on it and then part on the going into the spine here. So that's why I kind of stacked them. The other one will be here, and then if I would get more, it would be more like this and this and this and this. So they're kind of stacked. That's why I call it stack and fold. So here I decided I had 1/2 inch, then 3/8 inch, and then 1/4 inch. I think that 1/4 inch is enough, because if you put more and then you glue your page, if you put more and then when you glue your page you have more glued on here, so that leaves you less space for an insert, because this is going to be glued together, so it's less space for an insert. So that's why I don't want to put more than 1/4 inch. That's sufficient for the two sides to be to adhere to with the wet glue that I use. Or you could use score tape, but I think it's not, doesn't stay as much. Sometimes it just comes off. I don't know why. So I use wet glue all the time. So here we can see that it's enough. So I'm going to be cutting the second one. So that's that for now. And also I'm going to check to see how much I've got here. So I have, this is going to be like this, glued onto here. This is the floating part, this is into the page. So we have this much here that is going to be taking space of the width of the pages. So if I put the page here, pages here, I don't know if you can see. Need 3 hands sometimes. So this is going to be here, right here. So then you kind of know how much you need. This is too long because it gets all the way here. So I'm going to remove maybe, I would say 3/8 of an inch. But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to remove it because I need it to close here. So I'm just going to score 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3/8 of an inch, score it, and then what I do is I cut it, here I taper, or taper, sorry, the part that is on this part here, and then I just cut into the line. So you cut in the line, but what you have to do is, in order to have it to fold on it and then it's not too big, you have to remove a little bit more than the line that you've traced. So I'm going to go a little bit more, just so that you're inside the line that you've scored. I'm going to check again. As you can see, it's folding, so I'm going to glue this on. But before I do that, to make sure that I'm okay, I always double, triple check everything. It's the best way not to have too many mistakes. So here's going to be like this. So here we have 3/8 of an inch, and here I have this part right here. It's going to be here, and you can see that my page right here is ending right here, which is perfect, because then when I fold it, it comes like 3/8 of an inch or 1/4 inch from the spine, the second spine. So that's what we want. So you need 2 of this and 2 of this in this project anyways. You do whatever, you can do up to, I don't know, 6, 10, whatever you want. So those are going to be the pages. I'm going to make another one later on this one. Well, it's here, I just need to fold it. I'm going to put that aside because we're not working on that right now. I just wanted to show you how I did that. What we're going to be working on today is a file. So we'll be making a file that was going to cover here the first spine. I always, pretty much always have a file here. I think it's perfect. Like when you open your album, you can put some stuff in the file, like cards or whatever you want to keep, and I think it's the best thing. So I'm going to show you how to do this. It's pretty easy. So first of all, you have the size envelope that you need. If it's too big, you could always cut it in half and have half of it. But I decided it was perfect, so I'm going to use that. So first of all, you glue. I prefer to use wet glue instead of licking it. I don't really like the glue they put on the envelopes. It's not very tasty. So like this, like this. You do all. I have 4 here. I suggest you do more than 2 unless you have a really small project, because one of them is not going to expand very much. The one that is on top. The one on the bottom, the last one, will, because we are not going to glue it all the way around the envelope on the page. You'll understand when I get there. So that's all of them. Now I'm going to use this part. I'm just going to cut a little bit here, like 1/32 of an inch. You can do whatever. If your page is narrower and you need to have it smaller, you just cut whatever you need. But here, because I have plenty of space, I'm just going to remove a little bit. And you try to remove always the same amount so that they're all equal. There's one here. And if they're not all the same, it doesn't matter very much, because it's the bottom part that the extra or whatever is missing is going to be, and it won't show very much. I'll show you why, because we're going to bind this thing. So here I have my 4 envelopes. Then I'm going to make a little something so that it's easy to open them, like a little hole here. So what you do is I suggest that the envelope, the part that is glued onto, is facing you. Because when you open the envelope, you don't want to see like the hem inside, the piece that's been glued on. You don't want to see that. So you always have this part on facing you. So I have all 4 here. You make sure they're all the same, because if you're not exactly in the center when you measure and you cut them all, and then if you had some that were like this and you say, oh no, I needed to put like this, and then maybe it's not the same, you didn't punch at the right place. So you need to have them all the same, like all the little folding place facing you. So what I'm going to do now, this is the part that I've cut, so that's where I'm going to be using a punch to punch a little hole. So I'm just checking where the center is. So this is the center. Best way to have them all the same. You put them really all equal like this. Kind of spread them like a fan. Like this again. And then you go like this. Much faster than measuring all of them. Okay, now I'm using this 1-inch round punch. You could use whatever other punch you have if you have a little fancy something. Or what you could do also is use the templates of, how should I say, the leftover, the negative from the, like the graphic 45 chipboard sheet of some collections they have. They're perfect because they're a piece of chipboard, and then after you have removed the little pieces, whatever is left, it's kind of a stencil, and you can draw in the, like inside the stencil, and then you can make your own design. I use that all the time. So here what I did, I don't know if you can see, I've drawn a couple of lines here equal from the center, and sometimes I use this one for just a little half circle, and this one for a little bit bigger. So when I have that, then I can just align my lines on the edge of the envelope or the sheet that I'm cutting, and just go like this and punch it so they're all the same. As you can see, they're exactly the same depth, I should say. Okay, so that's it. So again, the fold facing me, always double, triple check. It's the best way not to make mistakes. Okay, now the way you do this, you are not going to put the glue all around, because you want the envelopes to expand when you open them. So we're going to glue, like I would say, 1 inch or 1.25 inches from the edge. This one you go all the way, and then you do the same here, pretty much the same distance, and then here you go pretty close, and just a little bit like this, so that it stays together. And then you put another one on top. Make sure they're really nice and straight, and then you glue them together like this, and you do the same again. You have to have enough so that it sticks all the way to the edge of the punch. Again, align them really nice, equal. This, and my fourth envelope. Here I need more. And then you can go like this so that you spread the glue. But you could always glue more if you need, like to add a little bit on the corners that haven't had enough glue. So you let this dry, and once it will be dry, you can see that the file is going to open. See, you get the idea. Pretty neat, huh? So this is what I'm gonna do for the page here. Also, one thing I'm gonna do, I'm going to make a, let's get this cut all the way. So you could do a flat that goes on top. It could be the whole, like the whole length or width, but I like to have just part of it, and it's gonna fold like this. I think it's neat. Doesn't have to be all the way there. I think it makes too big of a flap. It's nice to have different size. So I'm going to distress this. So I need to have go at least to this point, because we're going to be putting a magnet here, and when you have a magnet you need to have enough sorry, so I'm going to be having this go at least all the way here, maybe even more, because we're going to be putting a magnet right here, and you need to have at least 3/8 of an inch on each side of the magnet so that the paper around it glues on, so that you don't, if you put it too close to the edge, it won't stick, and then you'll see the magnet when you look at it. So it has to be at least 3/8 of an inch inside. So I measure this, so I'm going to have it this big. So this is going to be the edge where I'm going to have the first fold, and do not leave just this much amount, because when you put stuff in it, it's going to get wider or thicker. So I would put like this much. I think that would be just fine. That's about 1/4 of an inch, a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to cut here, wherever, because that's the back. I'm going to score that. I'm going to use this as score. Try not to be too long on my process. Sometimes I'm a little too fast and I make mistakes. Have to get used to doing this. So these are my 2 lines. If you do a flat that goes all the way here and is going to be glued to the edges here, make sure you taper the sides, the corners here. But here, since it's going to be in the middle, you don't need to, because it's not going to show. Okay. So this is the part that's the longer. So this is going to be the one that I use the magnet on, and I'm just going to round the corners. I did it again. This little punch is not good, because what it does, see what it does? That's because it's not all the way in. It keeps coming off. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut a little bit to make sure that it's straight. I do not recommend. This is a, what's the made of that? There's not even a name on this thing. Oh, AK Success or EK Success. It's not very good, I'm ruining a lot of stuff with that punch because it's not exactly right. So anyway, so that's it. I'm going to redo this because I've removed some. There, I got it. It was not all the way in. This thing here comes off and it's not all the way in, and it just punches wrong. If you have just a little bit, you could always just do like this and no one will notice. It just goes slowly back to the line. Okay, now I'm going to distress that on both sides. Just this part, because this is going to be in the back, so we won't get to see it. So just these here. I've picked raspberry Tim Holtz distress ink for distressing all my stuff. So that's what it is here. So I'm going to do that behind, and you can measure how much you have on each side, or you can just go according to your eye of what it is. Like this is pretty much centered, I would say. And don't glue it too low because you need to have this come flat like this. And this little part here, don't worry, when we have this, the paper that is going to cover here, we're going to punch that, and then we're just going to glue the little punch piece here so it continues kind of. Now the magnets. I have different kinds of magnets. These are my favorite ones. Basic gray magnetic discs, but they're expensive. I always buy them on sale, 40% off on Joann.com because they don't have them in the store. But sometimes I need more and I don't want to make an order just for that, and I'm waiting for some specials or free shipping or things like that.